Welcome, I'm Linda Medina-Lopez and your host for UpClose TV. Joining us today is Ms. Olivia Hernandez, the Bilingual Director of the Department of English Language Learners. Olivia, thank you for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you this morning.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. So we would just love to get to know you and get to know the department. Can you share with us where you come from, the city, the university, just a little bit more about your background?
Okay. My background is very interesting. I've been in the United States and in Mexico. I grew up in Chicago. Actually, I was born in Monterrey, but I grew up in Chicago all my elementary school years, my childhood. And then my parents decided to move back to Monterrey when I was around 13 years old. And in Monterrey, I went to school, became a teacher. I went to Normal Miguel F. Martinez and became an elementary teacher. I also always taught ESL, because once you move back to Mexico and if you know English, you become an English teacher. So I taught ESL for many years as a student, became an elementary teacher. I worked in Mexico in the rural areas. Then I married, and I married my husband, who is from Reynosa, Tamaulipas, and that brought me back to the United States, to the Valley. And I've been working, I worked in Hidalgo ISD, right on the border, for 24 years there. And I was a bilingual teacher. I started off as a bilingual teacher, went to the University of Texas Pan American, got my certificate there, and started off as a bilingual teacher, serving English language learners and serving recent immigrants. I became a principal also, served in Hidalgo ISD as a principal for 14 years, 10 years of an elementary school, implementing a dual language program, and 4 years at a middle school. Total of 24 years serving Hidalgo ISD and the students and parents in Hidalgo. Back in 2012, when my children finished high school, all my 4 children finished and they graduated, I decided it was time for me to look into doing something different. My husband had also retired, and I started to look for a different job and maybe even moving out of the Valley. And I saw a position in Austin ISD for the director of the Department of English Language Learners, and I thought, well, that's something I've done all my life. I've always been a teacher of English as a second language, and I served English language learners all my career in Hidalgo. So I applied, and fortunately I was very blessed to be named and appointed as the bilingual director for the department. And I've been with Austin ISD for almost 4 years now. Very blessed to be serving English language learners in the city of Austin, in Austin ISD, and serving 57 or 84 elementary schools that we have, 57 schools implementing dual language, and serving 23,000 English language learners in the district.
What are some of your goals for the department, and what are some of the services the Department of English Language Learners offers?
Our department, which is also called the Bilingual Department, it's known as the Bilingual Department across the nation, but it's the Department of English Language Learners. We serve all the 23,000 English language learners and their families in Austin ISD, and we serve them with the bilingual programs that the state of Texas offers. We have the late exit program is implemented in Austin ISD, and we have the dual language program implemented with a lot of pride in 57 of our elementary schools. We also offer ESL programs at the middle school and high school. We're going to be offering also ESL classes for parents this coming year at we have, for sure, Burnett Middle School will be offering ESL classes for our parents, and Houston Elementary, and we're looking into another location also. Our main goal is to support our students with a quality education and a very meaningful education so that they can acquire their content, learn their content when they come to school while they're acquiring English.
So how does a student qualify for ELL services?
A student, when they arrive to a district, to Austin ISD or any other district, if they don't speak English, one of the first forms that every student needs to fill out in a school district when they register is the home language survey. The home language survey will ask them two main questions. What language does your child speak at home all the time, right? And also, what languages do you speak, as a family, as a parent at home? And if one of those answers is Spanish or Vietnamese or another language other than English, then the child will be assessed to see how their English is, if they have a high or middle level of proficiency in English. And if they don't, if their English proficiency is still at a beginning level, then they are offered the bilingual program. And most of our parents do accept the bilingual program, and we have 23,000 actually students that are in our bilingual or ESL programs.
I know many AISD schools offer the dual language program. What are some of the schools, and what are some of the successes?
The successes, of course, our students are doing very, very well. The goals of the dual language program, first and foremost, are the cognitive benefits for students. When a child comes into the elementary at a young age not understanding English, the main goal is for that student not to miss content. We want the child to continue learning their math, their science, their social studies. That is the main reason why they come to school, while they're acquiring English. So it's very important for them to be successful academically, and also they are able to function at a high cognitive level in their native language while they're acquiring English. That is very important, and those are the two main goals also for dual language, is that they continue developing their cognitive ability and also continue developing academically. The other goal is, of course, acquiring a second language. So our children will be bilingual by the time they graduate. And another very important goal, which some people even think it's probably the most important goal, is that our children really acquire a very high ability to understand other cultures, high cross-linguistic, cross-cultural ability to get along with other students from other cultures. And this is very important when our children are getting along with other students that are maybe not from their same culture, but they start early on getting to know each other and growing together, and it'll make a big difference for our country and for our city.
That's wonderful. So what are some of the schools that offer this program?
Well, out of the 57 schools that we have 40 of them that are one-way dual language programs. And we have 17 that are two-way dual language programs. A one-way dual language program is exactly the same as a two-way dual language program when it comes to the model, when it comes to the delivery system. The only difference are the students in the classroom. In a one-way dual language classroom, we have all the students in the classroom are English language learners. And in a two-way, we have students that are native English speakers and students that are English language learners, learning together as much as possible. Sometimes we have 50%, sometimes it might be not exactly 50%, but that's the main purpose, to bring the two demographics together and the children learning together. So some of the schools that we have, two-way schools that are very, that we have out of the 17, we have Sunset Valley, we have Ridgetop, we have Becker Elementary, we have Casey Elementary, Travis Heights Elementary also is a two-way. One-ways, we have, like I said, we have 40 of them. We have Houston Elementary, we have Blazier Elementary. Blazier has a one-way and a two-way. We have Ortega Elementary, 40 elementary schools that you can choose from that have a one-way.
Talking to several parents in the community, I know that dual language is something that they just love, and they're like, I just enrolled my child at Becker Elementary and at Ridgetop Elementary, so the word is out. Everyone is wanting to head to those schools and just take advantage of the dual language program so that their children can learn both languages and appreciate, like you mentioned, all cultures. Yes.
There is not a week that goes by that I don't receive an email from a parent that is planning to move into Austin. I have an email that I use a lot in my presentations. This is a couple that's planning to move into Austin, and they already saw that Austin ISD has dual language programs. Their baby is 9 months old, and they're planning, and they want to know which school is the best dual language school, because they want to know where they're going to buy their home, right? Emails like that, I get many of parents that are already planning where they want to live and what they want to know which school. The beauty about dual language and why it's so popular, and not only it's popular because it's good for all children, not just for English language learners, but for all students. We're moving away from the way we used to look at bilingual education. Bilingual education back in the 60s, when it happened, it was for a purpose back then, right? To serve our English language learners that were not receiving a meaningful education in the system. But we've moved from that compensatory way of thinking to now a more enrichment, understanding that a student, an English language learner, needs to keep his native language. That instead of letting go of that native language and moving into English only, for that child to continue developing their native language helps that child form a very strong identity besides becoming bilingual. And we know that that's good for them, and it's good for an English native speaker to acquire a second language. So it's a win-win situation for all our students. We know it's good for our mental ability. Kids, are very flexible. Your cognitive abilities grow because you're dealing with two languages. And so there's a big demand on both sides on the dual language programs now in Austin ISD.
Of course, one of the benefits is when they go into the workforce, they will have two languages to list on the resume, and they would be able to travel around the world to Spain, to Peru, Panama, and they can just understand the language and be able to communicate. So, I mean, that's definitely a perk, in terms of learning the language.
There is a clear bilingual advantage. And back in the 60s when bilingual education was started, there wasn't a lot of research, but it's been almost 50 years now. And we have a lot of research that supports bilingual education, and that includes dual language programs, that we know that it's good for our children, and that there is a bilingual and economic advantage for being bilingual. And our own Rebecca Callahan here from UT just put out a book last year on the bilingual advantage, because now it's not only in theory. I mean, they have research and studies that can tell you how advantageous it is that our students are bilingual.
How can parents learn more about the dual language program if they're interested in enrolling their child? Is there a website, or is there a number they can call?
There is a website, and they can call our department also. Get on the website, the Austin ISD website, and under departments you can find dual language, because I know everybody's looking for dual language. Also, there is a quick link on the Austin ISD website. If you click on quick links, you'll find dual language there also. Okay. And you can find out about the lottery for the parents of native English speakers. They will have to be able to, they're going to have to get into a lottery. For an English language learner, they automatically are in the program. But for the native English speaker, they do have to submit an application and participate in the lottery, especially if it's a school that has a high demand and maybe not a lot of space. And you want to start early. The lottery begins by the end of January. The application will be up. In March, that's when decisions are made for the following school year.
So tell me, what is the difference between dual language and foreign language immersion?
Dual language and foreign language immersion. The foreign language immersion program mainly is for students that are native English speakers that are going to be immersed into a second language totally. They are not necessarily English language learners, and that program doesn't fall under the bilingual program. We do have a foreign language immersion program here in Austin, and that is the Mandarin program at Doss Elementary. The dual language program is it's actually a state-approved bilingual program. for our English language learners. So that is the main difference. It is a state-approved bilingual program, and our English language learners are served through that program.
You know, Summitt Elementary, I've been to their annual festival each year, and oh my gosh, the performances that they put on, and just, you know, some of the English speaking students that are speaking, you know, the language and just, you know, totally embracing it, and they sound fluent, and they're doing the welcome and greeting everyone. It's just amazing work.
Yes, Summitt Elementary is our pride and joy also. Summitt Elementary is the one and only dual language program that we have in another language other than Spanish. We have the Vietnamese English program at Summitt Elementary. And it actually serves English language learners that speak Vietnamese as their native language. We have many, many native Vietnamese speakers at Summitt Elementary, and that is a dual language program in which 50% of the time is delivered in Vietnamese, and 50% of the time is delivered, of the instructional time is delivered in English. All the other programs, 50% of the instructional time is in Spanish and 50% in English. The model varies depending on the grade levels, but they're more or less the same. At Summitt Elementary, they started off as a one-way, and as of this school year, they just launched a two-way dual language program at Summitt Elementary, Vietnamese English, in pre-K and K.
That's amazing.
Yes.
Wow. I'll need to stop by and visit some of those classrooms.
It's very exciting.
So I know that your department puts on the Latino Academic Achievement Awards.
Yes.
And I've been involved in it for the past 3 years, doing the community nominations and the awards. Can you tell me more about, you know, what it is to tell the audience, and, you know, what are the goals of the event, and what happens, and how do we celebrate our students?
We celebrate LA, which is the Latino Academic Achievement Awards, every May at the end of the school year, and it's sponsored by our department, the Department of English Language Learners. We award all secondary students, not all of them, but Hispanic secondary students, and we have the counselors and principals identify high-achieving Hispanic students at their schools, at the middle schools and high schools. And these students could have, high academic achievement, they also receive awards for their community involvement. We also recognize students in the ESL program, students that are acquiring their English. So we don't only focus on high academic, we do recognize our high achieving seniors as well as our recent immigrants that are coming in and acquiring English. We recognize parents, we recognize community members that support our Hispanic students also, and our superintendent and our board of trustees. They always attend this ceremony. It's really very rewarding to see the superintendent and our administrators and the board of trustees just, you know, deliver these all of the awards and the medals. They all get a medal, or they get a certificate, and the kids come by one, and every one of them, from the superintendent and every single board member, you know, they shake their hands, and it's really very emotional. And I think it's important to recognize all our students. We get a lot of parents. It's very well attended, and they feel very proud, and we feel proud of our students too.
One of my goals, you know, for the past 3 years since I've been involved with LA is making sure that we have community representation.
Yes.
So I've been, you know, reaching out to the presidents of Hispanic organizations in the community. And I remember 2 years ago, the president of the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Mark Madrid, you know, when I invited him and he came over, and he was just like, Linda, invite me every year to this event because it's amazing. The great work that the students are doing, that the school district is doing. The Hispanic Chamber of Commerce will be present every year. So,
yes,
you know,
they're always here. Yes.
Yes. So it's just amazing how, you know, all of the good things that the students are doing, and we want everyone to know what they're accomplishing as well.
Yes.
So,
yes.
So I'll be working with you this year as well.
Yes, I am looking forward to that. One of the things that we want to do in LA is bring back some of our students that are already at the university.
Alumni.
Yes, alumni. And that would be very interesting for our program.
Definitely. So let's take it personal. You were a teacher, for 24 years, administrator, teacher. What is one of your favorite memories as an administrator or a teacher, like having to do with a child, a student? Mm-hmm.
A student?
Mm-hmm.
I would say when I was a teacher, an ESL teacher in Hidalgo, teaching recent immigrants, just working with my kids, I knew where they were coming from because I had been a teacher in Mexico. So I've lived both worlds long enough. I was fortunate and blessed to live in Chicago, beautiful memories of my childhood. I had a beautiful education. My father ensured that I always maintained my Spanish. I was always supposed to read my Spanish elementary books at home. So he maintained our reading and writing Spanish. But then I also lived in Monterrey long enough to appreciate the Mexican culture, long enough, right, to understand both cultures. And I was a teacher in Mexico. So to be in the United States, teaching children English and their content, I knew where they were coming from. And it was very rewarding to see them acquire their English in a year or two and then being mainstreamed and continuing. At that time, we still didn't have the dual language program in Hidalgo, but I remember many of my kids picking up their English very quickly, learning how to read, learning how to write, and just moving forward. And some of them, when they got to the high school, I was surprised they would call me, and I was being recognized when they were in the high school. They were asked which was the teacher that most impacted your life, and I got to go to many of those ceremonies. So it's always nice to go there and see how they've developed, and that was very rewarding.
Who has made a positive impact in your life? It could be from, when you were a child, your teenage years, your adult life. Who would you say, who is someone that you look up to?
Well, it's my parents. I can't, I'm a very blessed person. Very blessed. I don't even want to say lucky because I'm not. I'm just very blessed. I was very blessed to be born to two beautiful parents who I miss very much, both of them. Olivia Hernandez, my mom, and my dad, Benjamin Hernandez, two beautiful parents that were loving and caring. I think that's very important. Everything that I am today and everything that I ever will be is because they always believed that I could do whatever I wanted to. And they always supported me in everything. They always instilled in me the importance of education, the importance of my culture, the importance of my language, always doing what's right for children and what's right for everybody. So just with that formation and background, I've been able to be successful as a teacher, understanding children, successful as a principal, understanding parents and children, and successful here also as a bilingual director.
What a wonderful legacy.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be my parents all the time. Yes.
Another amazing event that the Department of English Language Learners puts on is the Adelante Conference for teachers and administrators. Tell me more about it.
The Adelante Conference, I'm very proud of that conference. It's actually, we're going to have our fourth Adelante Conference. We started our first conference back in 2012, and we dreamed it up in a few minutes. And should we get it started? Yes. And I remember calling Thomas and Collier. Do you think you can be the speaker on this date? Yes, I can. Okay, then let's get it going. And a lot of people collaborated to make that happen. Dr. Palmer from the University of Texas, our administrators in Austin ISD, teachers in Austin ISD, and also my department, our staff from our department, all together worked in creating this beautiful conference, which is a conference for teachers by teachers. And our bilingual teachers are now being served, and they're being able to attend this conference and learn from each other, which is the best professional development there can be, when you can hear and listen to what your colleagues are doing in the classroom and how to improve your practice in your bilingual classroom. And we've had one every year. Now, ABE, the Austin Area Association for Bilingual Education, is really the one that's in charge of Adelante. And we're working in collaboration with ABE now. And that's where we really want that conference to be. It belongs to the teachers and to the bilingual community. And not only do we have Austin ISD teachers attending Adelante, but we also have bilingual teachers across Central Texas attending this. And so we're all learning from each other because we do need consistency in our bilingual programs in Central Texas, so that because we know our kids are moving from Del Valle, from Round Rock to Austin, and they're moving from one place to another. So we're all learning from each other. And it's become a very popular and well-attended conference because it's really delivered by teachers and for teachers.
When is the date for the Adelante
The
conference?
date will be changed to April versus March, and we're looking forward to that. And we're working with ABE. Right now, the president, Lupe Ramos, and I know that the University of Texas, Dr. Palmer, is also working very closely with ABE in making this happen.
And approximately how many teachers have attended the conference?
400 to 500
every
teachers.
year?
Yes, we started off at the University of Texas at the Thompson Center, and it started to get a little too crowded.
Yes, the word got out.
Yes, so last year we held it at the DoubleTree, and we've had great speakers. We've had Thomas and Collier there. We've had Stephen Krashen. We've also had Richard and Leo Gomez, Dr. Richard and Leo Gomez. Dr. Angela Valenzuela has been there. Dr. Catherine Lindholm Leary. And we're looking forward to a great year this year also.
That is amazing. Everything that you're doing in the Department of English Language Learners is just to the benefit of the teachers and the students and just making Austin and the world a better place.
Oh, thank you.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, I just can't stress enough how bilingual education is changing in the 21st century. We're really looking at bilingual education as an enrichment program, moving away from that compensatory way of thinking, from a very monolingual way of thinking to a more of a multilingual paradigm, where we're understanding that the languages that our children bring to school are valuable, that what they bring is a resource, and we should value it and not let it go, not discontinue that, but on the contrary, develop their native language, because it will make them stronger. We will build strong citizens, strong individuals that will ultimately contribute to our society.
You know, I do want to mention that earlier this week I was at the superintendent's student roundtable, and this student, I remember, he was, I don't remember the middle school, but he was at a middle school, and he's like, Dr. Cruz asked, you know, what's awesome about your school? And he mentioned, you know what, the diversity in our schools. He's like, we have 13 nationalities in one classroom. So it's amazing how someone from Iran can be communicating with someone from, I don't know, Africa, and someone from Nicaragua, and just everyone embracing each other and respecting and just, loving that culture piece. And so,
So, yeah, you brought up something, I don't know if we're okay with time, but you brought up the middle school. Right?
Okay. Oh, that's right.
We have right now 3 middle schools that are implementing dual language. Our first generation of students that started in 2010 have graduated from 5th grade and are now in the 6th grade. So we have a little over 100 students enrolled in dual language, and we have Paredes Middle School, Fulmore Middle School, and Burnett Middle School implementing dual language. We're very, very proud of that.
Well, thank you for joining us today, Olivia. It was a pleasure having you today, and I look forward to working with you in the Adelante Conference and the Latino Academic Achievement Awards.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure being here.
If you have suggestions to today's programming, please email me at linda.medina@austinisd.org or call me at 512-414-9706. I'm Linda Medina-Lopez and your host for UpClose TV.